The dawn was a bruised purple, barely stirring when I stopped mid-step, boots crunching on gravel. A sudden sight lit a fire in my chest. A gleaming white metal fence stretched across my ranch gate. Bold red letters screamed, "Property line, HOA restricted access." Two massive rental trucks flanked the road, their hulking frames boxing me in on my own land. A flimsy sign zip-tied to the fence flapped in the morning breeze. HOA ordered closure. Non-compliant access denied until further notice. My pulse thundered with disbelief and fury. I'd never joined any HOA. My ranch, 12 wide acres of open fields, creeks, and family legacy, was a world away from the manicured lawns of Oakage Estates, a quarter-mile down the road. So why were they fencing me out? I pulled out my phone and called the sheriff. "Oakage is raising hell," Deputy Caleb muttered, voice heavy with exhaustion. "They're saying you're violating their standards, but they've got no legal authority over your land. Blocking your gate? That's trespassing." He promised a patrol, though the department was stretched thin. Then I saw her. A sleek silver SUV with the Oakage logo sat just outside my property line. Tinted windows glinted like a predator's eyes. Inside, Evelyn, Oakage's HOA president, sipped from a monogrammed thermos, her smirk sharp as broken glass. We'd met once at a county meeting. She was all polished charm and veiled threat. I stormed over, breath steaming in the cold. She cracked her window just enough to speak. "Good morning, Mr. Minute," she cooed. "No need to worry. This is just a temporary safety measure." "Safety?" I barked, fists clenched. "You've caged my home. Your gate's bear statue is aggressive," she said coolly, "and your fence violates our aesthetic code." The board voted unanimously. "This is my ranch," I snapped. "Not your subdivision." She shrugged. "The road to your gate is under our jurisdiction now. We rezoned it last month. The notice went to your old address, your oversight." Before I could reply, she rolled up her window and went back to texting, like I was nothing more than a speed bump on her freshly paved path. That fence wasn't just metal, it was a declaration of war, and under the fading stars I swore to tear it down and take back the road, Evelyn claimed. But the trouble had started months earlier, coiled quiet like a snake in tall grass. After 30 years in tech, I left my Seattle firm, drained by code and corporate grind. I came back to the ranch, my great-grandfather's legacy, seeking peace. 12 acres of rolling hills, grazing horses, a fishing pond, and freedom. Oakage's HOA had seemed harmless during the property tour. Just neighbors wanting neat lawns, or so they said. But I was wrong. One crisp September morning, I saw surveyors along the dirt road to my gate, marking with sticks and spraying symbols on the gravel. I called from the porch. "You folks lost?" A man in khakis with a clipboard smiled. "No, sir. We're with Oakage's HOA. Planning speed bumps for maintenance. Your road intersects our loop. Join us and you get potholes fixed, maybe even lower taxes." His voice was too smooth, his eyes too calculating. I declined. A week later, a letter arrived. Notice of road adoption proposal. It was dense legalese, unreadable fine print. I tossed it. That was my first mistake. Soon after, county notices started whispering about a vote. Buried deep in the fine print was the poison, a clause granting Oakage and HOA easement over the road. By the time I caught on, it was too late. Oakage had held their vote without me. Now they claimed the road was theirs, subject to their aesthetic regulation. They demanded I remove my gate, repaint my fence, kennel my dog, Scout, after dusk. Fines began stacking up, taped to my mailbox like smug little threats. I ignored them, thinking the distance would protect me. Then came the fence. Caleb showed up that afternoon, his cruiser rattling down the gravel road and stirring dust behind him. He took one look at the blockade and just shook his head. "Oakage is swallowing everything these days," he muttered. "The road's in a legal gray zone. County clerk signed it over by mistake, thought it was unused." Then he offered an idea, a bold one. Outbid Oakage on the road's lease renewal. That night I called Laura, an old friend and a retired municipal records clerk, sharp as ever and fluent in the language of red tape. "You want the whole damn road?" she said, half laughing in disbelief. "Every inch," I told her, "from the county line to Oakage's edge." "I will," I told Laura, "and I'll make them pay to cross it." She gave a low whistle. "It'll take cash and cunning, but I'm in." With my savings, Laura's bureaucratic wizardry, and a fire roaring in my gut, we got to work. Paperwork was filed. County officials were met. We even called in a favor from a retired commissioner. At the final hearing, Evelyn showed up in full regalia, pearls, tailored blazer, and a legal team in tow. They came armed with a slick PowerPoint, manufactured complaints, and claims that I was a menace to community cohesion. Evelyn played the savior. I just smiled. Then the clerk delivered the ruling like a hammer. Ownership of County Road 15B transfers to Mr. Samuel Bennett. Payment and maintenance agreement signed today. A week later, Evelyn received my certified letter. As owner of Road 15B, I am enforcing a new access agreement. HOA vehicles are subject to a $5,000 monthly toll, effective immediately. I tripled their dues in a single stroke. Let them choke on their own rules. But Evelyn didn't flinch. She retaliated. One night, engines roared outside. I grabbed my flashlight and bolted from the house. A backhoe clawed into my road, ripping down my toll sign like it was paper. There she was, Evelyn, standing at the edge of the trench, flashlight under her chin like a cartoon villain, barking orders to 3 board members. "Emergency repairs!" she shouted, citing a vague public safety clause. Their backhoe struck a water pipe. A geyser exploded into the air, drenching her designer coat. Caleb rolled up, unimpressed. "You've got no authority here," he said. "That's a private pipe. Damages, $100,000. I filmed her retreat, her face twisted in rage. Next morning, I marched into the county clerk's office with photos, video, and repair estimates. Agnes, the sharp-eyed grandmother running the desk, muttered, "They didn't file for access. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen." She scheduled a property damage hearing. Later that day, I visited my neighbor Frank, a retired welder and war story buddy. "Heard about your visitors," he said, handing me a hot mug. "That pipe blowout woke half the county." I nodded, jaw tight. "Evelyn's not stopping." Frank slid a folded paper across the table. "Independent Property Association. For folks like us, outside the HOA. 5 signatures, and we've got legal ground." My eyes lit up. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," he grinned. "Let's beat them at their own game." By week's end, we'd rallied 4 other ranchers, all fed up with Oak Ridge's reach. We signed. The Free Range Coalition was born. Our bylaws, our shield. I sent the HOA a formal letter. All vehicles crossing Road 15B must comply with coalition guidelines or face fines and access bans. They ignored it. Evelyn fired back with a lawsuit, claiming my road acquisition was a hostile land grab. Her PR team spun headlines like, "Rancher's toll trap terrorizes neighbors." Hate mail flooded in. People called me a dictator. Then came the blow that cut deep. My front gate, hand-welded by my father 40 years ago, was gone. Posts sawn clean. A sign was nailed to a splintered pole. "You don't own us," Scout barked furiously. Trail cam footage caught 2 masked men in a white truck at 3 a.m. Heart pounding, I sat up all night with my rifle and filed a vandalism report. My lawyer, Olivia, a pit bull in heels, watched the footage and said, "They want war? We'll make it civil, but brutal." She subpoenaed HOA records. I installed infrared cameras and replaced the gate with steel. Trespassers prosecuted etched into the metal. Evelyn rolled up one afternoon, filming near my toll sign. "He's threatening public access," she yelled to her phone. "Private road," I said, holding up the deed. Delivery vans, landscapers, even an Amazon driver swarmed through, clueless it was my road now. I handed out flyers warning of $75 fines for unauthorized crossing. To Olivia, Evelyn's antics were a joke, until my power went out. Generator dead, well pump silent. We found 2 signal jammers planted at the edge of my land. Notes taped on, "Quit or we're done." Caleb seized them. My private investigator, Leo, traced the devices to a black market purchase. Paid for by Roger, Evelyn's husband. Charges filed. Headlines roared. HOA president's husband implicated in land sabotage scandal. Then came the cameras. A documentary crew from American Vistas filmed the trench, the vandalism, the jammers, broadcasting our saga to the nation. A state senator called. A landowner protection bill was in the works. They wanted my testimony. Evelyn escalated. One dusk, smoke curled through the trees. I ran to my barn, flames licking up its sides. Scout howled. I fought it with a hose, heart hammering, but the damage was done. Charred beams stood like tombstones over my dream of turning the place into a rescue haven. The fire reeked of gasoline, arson. I offered a $10,000 reward. A blurry trail cam photo linked the arson to Roger's cousin. Roger was arrested. And Evelyn? The court came down hard. Oak Ridge HOA, fined $250,000. Board, dissolved. But as the dust settled, a new enemy loomed. Pinnacle developers, suits with shark smiles. They offered triple my ranch's value and unveiled glossy blueprints for Bennett Hills Estates, a sprawling suburb set to bulldoze my legacy. I refused. Olivia's voice was calm, but clipped. "Watch for rezoning. They'll come at you dirty." The coalition rallied. We petitioned. We cited my ranch's century-old heritage, the hands that built it, the land that fed us. But Pinnacle painted me as a greedy holdout, staging a lavish town hall with catered shrimp and stage lights. I crashed it. "You don't pave my family's blood for profit." The room fell still. Then cheers erupted, raw, defiant. Pinnacle retaliated fast, pushing for eminent domain. But they didn't count on the storm I'd summon. I launched the number Don't Pave My Past campaign. It went viral. Donations, letters, veterans, ranchers, activists, people who understood that land means more than money. A retired Marine vet stood outside my gate, holding the American flag like a sentinel. Then it happened again. My power died. 2 more jammers. 2 new notes. Stop or we're done. I called Caleb. Leo traced the devices. Pinnacle muscle, off the books. Then at 2 a.m., a knock. Neighbor Clara, trembling, handed me a flash drive. It was on my porch, each with a note. Give this to Bennett or your house burns. The video showed men trespassing on my land. One whispering, next week, the house. Burn it, if he stays. My father's house, built board by board after he came home from Vietnam, their next target. I fortified 360 disc cameras, floodlights, fire sensors, steel-reinforced doors. 2 Marine buddies arrived, packing quiet resolve. And then I found it. My father's 1967 deed, tucked in his footlocker, mapping a hidden back road, our escape route. On the 6th night, alarms screamed. 4 figures breached the fence, one carrying a gas can. Floodlights flared. Scout roared. Jack, one of the Marines, tackled the arsonist hard. Another intruder hit my tripwire and tumbled into a nest of thorns. Caleb arrived minutes later, cruiser skidding to a halt. They were cuffed before the adrenaline faded. Pinnacle had sent thugs, but I was ready. Then came the final blow. A whistleblower leaked footage. Roger, that same HOA puppet, on tape. We couldn't break him with fire. He just wouldn't bend. That was enough. Federal agents raided Pinnacle's regional HQ. Roger, sentenced to 8 years. Pinnacle, indicted, bankrupt, disgraced. And me? I turned part of my ranch into Liberty Field, a nature sanctuary for kids. We teach them to fish, to plant, to build. A sign guards my toll road now. Bennett Ranch. Freedom stands. They tried to fence me in, so I bought the road. They tried to burn me out, so I lit the way. And when they came for my land, they forgot who owned the ground.